As we open up today's space, I would say the theme to rant, to chat, to explore is the theme of despair, hopelessness, um, being gutted by something not going as intended. Which I mean, 18 years full-time entrepreneur. It's happened plenty of times. Yesterday was one of those days that I felt like I got punched in the gut, and it's an important part of the journey, because when we have those like gut punches, it's an opportunity to take a step back and to reevaluate the track that we're on and see where life is asking us to pivot and redirect our energy. So, for example, yesterday, we just got a message from our publisher who does all of our printing, warehousing. They've been epic. They are amazing. It's an incredible family-run business of 30 years. But because of the cost of everything right now, our rates went up exponentially. So instead of paying $6.50 for a book to print for Magic Kids, our printing costs went up to $10 per book to print. And we pay, we charge $18 or $16 at the markets that we're at and all that sort of stuff. So, and then off of that $6 remaining revenue, we have a 10% admin fee, and then 50% is divided up between our artists and Magic Kids. So all of a sudden, those margins just completely collapsed in on itself. So I was pissed and gutted and enraged. When we started this journey, we launched just under a year ago. December 11th last year was our opening day for Magic Kids. When the website went live, we launched our first 6 stories. We now have 19 stories and books. And it's been a really, really crazy roller coaster year of like the creative highs, the accomplishment, the collaboration with over 70 artists. The book sales online have been a lot slower than I had anticipated when we launched. I'm like, everybody buys books. We've done well at our markets that we're in, but in person, but the goal is to build an online store. Fortunately, my kid had the foresight to build an app. So that's been the journey that we've been on for the last, I guess we've been, the last 3 months, we've been working on the app. We're now finally in the design stage. So we're working on a bunch of different icon stuff where people can choose their avatar when they do the app. We're just trying to get like our design flow done. And we still have a lot of work to do, but it's coming along. The app's going to be like a Spotify style interface, but for kids, where they can choose their audio stories, imagination meditations, and sing-along music. So it's cool to see that coming along. So yesterday, once my rage subsided and I sat with the discomfort of plans not going as planned, and I weighed options of like, okay, do we raise the price of our books? Well, $18 for a paperback book is already kind of on the high end of a paperback book. And, that's kind of where we stand on, well, we're fair trade publishing. So you're just supporting more artists by paying an extra dollar or so for your paperback book. So that was one thing. But then just sitting more deeply and trying to find myself in a space of surrender of like, okay, if I'm in a river right now and the river of life is pushing me in a direction, what is the direction the river of life is pushing me into? And for me, it really felt like if I can direct my energy, enthusiasm, and focus into the app space, and the app will be all of the audio stuff, downloadable ebook versions of all the books that we have published, learning resources that can be used inside classrooms and homeschooling and all that sort of stuff for each story inside of the parent portal portion of the app. Instead of getting angry, I tried to arrive into a space of surrender and listening and feeling into like, where am I actually being guided to go? And as I've kind of like softened into the idea of like, well, maybe we just publish 3, 6 really special books that do really, really well in the audio space inside of the app. And we just publish like way less books next year. And we really double down and focus on the app, subscriptions, sales, and all that sort of stuff. Then maybe that's where this is going, because I feel like what we've built in less than a year is epic. It's my proudest accomplishment as an entrepreneur. And so the feeling like the heart-wrenching blow of like, man, the only way selling books is going to work. And this was one of the other thoughts that I sat with yesterday. Is like, the only way books work is if we're selling them in really large quantities all at once. So either we build a massive audience that buys our books, we find partners that are going to be purchasing books in like 500, 1,000, 5,000 quantities. That's the only way this is really going to work from a publishing perspective. So, and this is just a part of entrepreneurship. It's like we build things, and then sometimes we slam into a brick wall, and there's always a way around the brick wall. There's always a way over the brick wall. Sometimes if we run through the brick wall hard enough, we can go through it. But this is just one of those brick walls. I'm grateful that it's happening right now, where I'm about to take 2.5 weeks of space away from meetings and away from action taking. And my team's taking a time out so that I can really be with this and talk with my wife about it, and talk with my core team and figure out, okay, like, this is where we are. Here's the challenges. The challenges right now are like, our book printing just went up by like, I think 40% or something like that. It's a really high extra cost. We're working on the app. We're still raising the money to finish the app. So far I've been fully out of pocket through my line of credit, through investment. We were just gifted a $25,000 gift from a grandmother that wants Magic Kids to take over the world. So that was like an unexpected surprise. So there's all of these signs that it's like, you're on the right track. Just keep going. This is the right thing to be investing your energy and time and money into. And then you come up against hurdles like this. That's just like, well, are you sure that I'm on the right track? Like those moments where you just like scream into the universe of like, well, what the fuck? I took all those other steps and now here we are, and I just hit another wall. But I mean, I can't tell you how many times this has happened. And I feel like those times when life gets you on your knees and makes you pray harder than you're going to pray, and sob the tears of like defeat, and really ask from a vulnerable space for the help and guidance that you're looking for. It's in those moments that the breakthroughs come. And so I'm definitely giving myself permission over the holidays to get myself into those spaces. I'm just trying to wrap up the year and finish all the loose ends up that I possibly can, so that I can have that spaciousness my mind and my body and my heart need to really sink into. Okay, here we are. Here's all the assets we've created. Here's all the possibilities that exist for how we carry forward from here. And to come up with like, okay, what is the path? Because essentially the path I started out with this year, we executed on. Our goal was books, a new book and audio story every 2 weeks. And with the exception of taking the summer off, that's what we did. And it was a huge workload, a lot of money invested in doing it, but it was worth it, because we now have a minimal viable product, and we can really show like what this whole picture is. And the other piece is like, we need to massively amp up our marketing. So we're working with the Harmon brothers, which I know I've talked about before. We're in week 8 of testing and refining our messaging, and we have an ad right now that we created together for our Christmas story, that in the last 24 hours, I think we've had 160 emails. We've spent less than $300. Our cost per lead is just under $3. It has over 150 shares already in 24 hours. So all of a sudden we've got this ad that's like starting to circulate and really draw attention, and people are sharing it. So that's been a very cool surprise, as we've been, just adding a little bit of hope. Because in our first round of testing, our cost per lead was about $21 was the best we got. So all of a sudden, We've got this campaign that's actually working. People are sharing it, and that's been really fun to see. So I share all this. I share the woos and the pains and like the curveballs that essentially are inevitable in life and business, because I know everybody here has had curveballs this year, and I know we've all had those moments, those what the fuck moments, where it's just like, what am I doing? Why am I still continuing with this thing? And sometimes it feels like the thing that we've been working so hard on is coming to a death, and those deaths are usually rites of passage into whatever's next for us as entrepreneurs, as creators. Sometimes it is about putting the thing that we're working on to death, but oftentimes it's just about transforming the thing into a new iteration, a new version of whatever it is and wherever it's going. And I can't tell you how many of these little deaths I've had over the years, and how every time that deep listening leading to clarity, leading to a pivot, has always steered me forward. So, if you're in one of those moments with your work and with your life or with your business, is that to like surrender into, don't try and take action to get yourself out of it until you fully felt the medicine and the pain and the frustration, the anger. Like, let yourself feel all of that, because within that, you're going to hear expectations that are unmet. You're going to hear belief systems that are untrue, and perhaps you're ready to outgrow about who you are as a person, as a creator. Perhaps there's childhood ideas about yourself and the gifts that you're here to bring, and that there's limitations that you've placed upon yourself, and that coming up against these brick walls are opportunities to look at ourselves, who we are, how are we being, and ways that we can show up differently. And so I know for myself, that's really what my holidays are about, is like unplugging from the massive amount of action taking that I have been doing this year, all of the communications that I have to do. I mean, my inbox is typically at 50 to 100 communications a day with my team, projects, people, etc. And so having a pause to really listen into that, sink into the deeper layers of messages, the feel into my nervous system and see where I've gone out of balance in that space from an action-packed year, and to hopefully renew myself so that starting in January, it's just a totally different vibe and space that's personally I'm in, and that I can bring that new energy to my team, and that there's some clarity around what is the best path forward for this business, for Magic Kids, for myself, my body, my team, for the sustainability of finances, for the growth of the company, in a clear marketing path to move forward with. Yeah. So if you're hitting up against one of those walls and you're having those what the fuck moments, I invite you to honor it, to give it space, to not try to rush that process, and to do some deeper listening, whether it's going out in nature for a long walk, and doing that deeper prayer and listening and asking for whatever guidance it is that you need, because there's always a way through, over, or around the obstacle that's in your way. And sometimes you got to backpedal a little bit to get a running start. And I don't know what the answers will be. I'm starting to, now that I'm through my day of rage, I feel like there's a little bit more peace inside my heart of the options that I will have before me. But welcome to the reality of entrepreneurship. These are the struggles that we're all going to come up against as we build what we're building. And whether we're getting a job and fulfilling somebody else's dreams, or we're choosing to go this path of building something we believe in that honors our gifts and brings us to the world. I mean, no matter what, we're going to have struggles in life. And I've always had the attitude that the greatest struggles are the ones that we're struggling for ourselves, for the things that we really believe in and want to bring into the world. And so those are the struggles that I feel are worth it. And that's why I've never stopped creating and being an entrepreneur and moving things forward in these last 18 years of hitting these brick walls at least once a year, usually. this was just the one of the brick walls that I hit so close to holidays. I almost made it. So yeah, just wanted to share that. And I guess the one thing I didn't share earlier was how with Magic Media, we have um, 4 of our partnership projects were supposed to launch November, December. They all got moved to March. So that was like $80,000 to $100,000 or more of revenue that was like kind of escaped my fall winter budget, which has now all been pushed. So now we have, including the app, there's 5 launches that are all happening in the like March, April 5-week window there, which seems crazy, but it just kind of is what it is. So that's been like one of the other obstacles that I've been as like CEO managing, like, okay, what the fuck? That's that $100,000 or more was supposed to like pay for all of Magic Kids, pay for all of Magic Media, float the boat. So there's like lots of reorganizing, and we're taking it as we go. And um so far we're still here, so that's good. um but you know, it's an interesting obstacle. um and we're good until the end of January as far as my budget goes. So that's kind of like my timeline of like, okay, I gotta figure stuff out to like leap over that gap between like end of January to end of March with the, you know, all of the bills and expenses to pay between there. And I would say it's probably one of the biggest gaps that I've ever had to leap over as far as entrepreneurship goes. So whether that comes through sales, new partnerships, investment capital, new sponsors coming on board with Magic Kids, or whatever it is, I know we're going to make the gap. And right now it's just a chasm, and I'm trying to figure out what is the way to get over the chasm. So I'm sure in 6 weeks from now, there will be a story to go with how we leapt over the chasm. And maybe it just means we like literally with the revenue that's already coming in, we somehow trickle over it to get to that place. But I'm hoping we take a great leap and we're met with what we need. And that's just one of the just kind of what happens on this journey sometimes. um yeah, so that was an interesting curveball as well, which that one was the other gut punch that happened about a month ago when I realized all of our launches weren't going to happen. And they were all for like just an operations manager left one of them, so they had to reshuffle, and so we had to push it. Another one, she had COVID, and then she got the flu right after COVID. And then the other one was like, he burnt out, literally burnt out from working too much, and just had to take 2 weeks off and have a spontaneous vacation because he just couldn't deal with the pressure of having to launch another thing after doing all these other projects. um and so it's just kind of like, okay, well, sweet, space, space for something else. um yeah, let's maybe take a couple breaths if you want to feel into your own space inside of your heart and see if there's any brick walls in your way. See if there's anything that you need to listen to feel into, to communicate with. I've always had a sense that these businesses, these products, these things that we create, that they are its own spirit, its own entity, that they have their own life, their own desire, their own path, and we're simply here like a parent stewarding a child and supporting the child through its different stages of life. That is, entrepreneurs and creators, that's our job as well, is like, these are our babies, and we're here to protect them, to keep them safe, to help them grow up to be strong and powerful and mighty, and to share their gifts with the world. And so this is just one of those moments for each of us. I'm sure I don't imagine my story today is any different than each of your stories and your own struggles that you've come up against or might be coming up against with right now. So you're in good company. While you're here listening, just see if is there any message that you need to listen to? Is there anything that you need to pay some attention to over the next few weeks to listen, to feel more clear and empowered on your path as you enter into a new year and a new cycle. May we always have the wisdom that no matter what we face or what obstacles come in the way, that there's always a way through, over, around, or if there's not, that it's life's way of giving us an opportunity to pivot and go a different way. So may we stay attuned to the river of life and its ways of always guiding us with the currents.